I've been on the carnivore diet for 422 days as of recording this video, and this is the healthiest I've been. I'm lean, I have more muscle now. I feel absolutely amazing. My sleep is the best it's ever been. It's crazy, really. I didn't know that I would stay on the diet for this long whenever I first started, but after I felt the benefits, then I just decided to just keep going because there's really nothing else that makes me feel better than this. And I've tried a lot, to be honest, in my not super long existence on this earth, but I have tried a lot in terms of diet because I am about optimization. I am about feeling my best, and this is what has accomplished that so far. So, yeah, in this 420 days of only eating meat, I've experienced a lot of benefits. I've made a lot of mistakes. And so, in this video, I'm just going to give you the kind of breakdown of what has happened, some of the lessons that I've learned, and what you can take away from it. So then, if you decide to try this, and you decide to do it for maybe a year or so, then you have a better experience. So yeah, let's break it down. If you don't know me, my name is Keegan. I help people get onto low carb slash carnivore. If you want my help with that, then go check out links in the description. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I can help you out. Anyways, let's talk about what has happened in this past 420 days. Nice. I don't do that, but it's an old meme from like 2018, I think. Anyways, um, in the beginning, I remember I had done carnivore kind of on and off, sort of strictly. I was still doing some spices, I was still doing some fruit, and my last cheat day was on May 4th specifically. I only remember that specifically because I had um a sports event that day and it was on a Saturday. Like I just remember it. We went to Waffle House. That was my cheat day. I had some waffles. And the day after, from then on, I was strict on carnivore. And transitioning into that, because I did do a little bit of carnivore going into it. I remember the first few weeks, I just felt weird whenever I was first doing carnivore. And like I said, this was like kind of like the non-strict phase, but for the first 2 weeks that I did it, I felt really, really weird. And if you do end up trying carnivore, you will more than likely run into this unless you've done keto before. Uh, unless you unless you're currently doing keto or something like that, you'll probably run into what people call the keto flu. But it's not the keto diet that's necessarily causing that. It's the lack of sugar. And yes, that technically comes from a ketogenic approach, but the reason for that is because you're withdrawing from sugar. And so, like I was just talking to my mom the other day about this, where she was like, "Oh yeah, whenever you're adapting to this, then you get the keto flu and you get the headache and stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's just sugar withdrawal." And she was like, "Yeah, keto flu." I said, "No, it's sugar withdrawal because like it's not it's not you introducing more fat, more protein into your diet that's causing you to have these headaches. It's the fact that you're removing a drug that you are addicted to from your I guess consumption schedule or whatever. Since you're not ingesting that drug anymore, your body, since it's built up a chemical dependence on it, you're going to have withdrawals from it. It's just like caffeine. It's just like alcohol. It's just like meth. It's a drug, right? Sugar is a drug. And so especially if you've been eating a ton of carbs before, like I was, then you're going to have withdrawal symptoms. Now, I'm fortunate enough to where I didn't have like headaches or anything like that. I just felt really cravey and I felt weird, like energy wise. I just felt kind of weird. But other than that, I felt not bad. But just be aware of that if you're getting into this. The first 2 weeks, they're gonna be a little weird. Okay, so just that's kind of the first thing that happened whenever I first started on this diet is I felt weird, but I anticipated that, and so I'm hoping that with me sharing this with you, then you're ready for it. So just be ready for the first 2, maybe 3 weeks. You can troubleshoot after week 2, kind of. It should be disappearing by then, especially if you're eating enough, your sugar withdrawal symptoms should kind of start dissipating, especially by week 2. That's at least what happened for me. And yeah, so after that week 2, week 3 ish, within that those first few weeks, you will also experience a ton of water weight, just like just like flushing out of your system. And really, that's just from a ton of inflammation. It's from the carbohydrates you've been consuming. I mean, if you're going from junk food to more whole foods, it's probably also some salt as well, just kind of like flushing out of your system, unless you salt your foods heavily. And so you're going to get a lot of water weight loss, and that could lead to some electrolyte problems. So also be aware of that within the first few weeks, because you know, I'm kind of painting this bad picture almost in these first 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, so much changes, but it's your body's adapting to it, and your body's just flushing out all the crap that you've been stuffing in it for who knows how long, right? For me, it was what I was like 16 years at that point, just stuffing my face with poison. And so I had some detoxing to do. I mean, if you're older, in your mid 20s, late 20s, 30s, like, and you've never eaten like a proper clean diet before, then you got a lot of stuff to like flush out of your body. So, you got to give it some time to like just get crap out and to adapt to a more proper human diet. Um, but yeah, and those first few weeks, I did experience some electrolyte stuff, but I salted my water pretty heavily then, and so I was fine. I drank bone broth. I salted my food still, and honestly, electrolytes weren't that big of a problem. If you want, just get like an electrolyte supplement. I'm pretty sure Element is a good one. Like I don't really do electrolytes personally, but yeah, I mean salt works too. Like I didn't personally do any electrolytes. I just did salt, some bone broth, right? Like, you'll be fine. Like as long as you're not getting like crazy cramps, I think you'll be okay. Just and if you really want, just throw in some electrolytes. Like, just make sure you're drinking enough water. Maybe salt your food for the first few weeks, and you should be fine. But after you get out of those first 2 weeks, after you get out of those first few weeks, then you kind of get into this like honeymoon phase where it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I feel great. And that's kind of where I was for a really long time, where I would just kind of eat whatever. I didn't really gain or lose any weight after that initial point, because honestly, I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to survive. Really, I really wasn't worried about my body composition that much whenever I was first starting out, because I just wanted to eat a lot of meat, honestly, and just go to the gym, lift some weights, play soccer. Back in 2024, like mid to late 2024, whenever I started this, yeah, that's really all I want to do is just play soccer, go outside, lift some weights. That was it really, and I got the strongest I've ever been in that period of time. Now I think I've gotten a little bit weaker since then because I have been intentionally cutting back my food, and I haven't been like I took a break from the gym for a little bit, so I'm just trying to get that muscle strength back. But I mean, I think I look better than I did then. So I'll take that at least. Yeah. um, but yeah, honestly, in those first few months, what I would say, I think the approach that I took is a pretty good idea. I wouldn't say expect results immediately. Just try and stick with it for a little bit and see how you like it. That's honestly what my thinking was going into it, was like, okay, I'm just going to stick with this for a few months, and then like I'm not even going to have any expectations, and yeah, I'm just going to go into it and see how I feel. And every month I felt better. I had the most energy I had ever felt in my life. I was crushing workouts. I was getting stronger. I wasn't I don't think I was losing a ton of body fat, but I was kind of holding my body weight pretty steadily. But I felt great, to be honest. I felt absolutely amazing. And so I just kept doing that. I got back into school after the summer break, and then we started soccer season. And even though, because soccer is a team sport, even though my team didn't do that great, I felt I felt pretty sharp just as a player. Even though my skills honestly weren't as good because I didn't practice, my my ability, at least on the field, my endurance was the best it's ever been. and I just felt great playing. Yeah, and you know, it's hard to say because it is in the past, but that summer, the first few months whenever I was on it, I felt really really good, just like starting out. I mean, obviously, I've felt great this entire time, right? Don't get me wrong on that. It's just I think whenever you go into that transition, you really feel the contrast for the first few months. Afterwards, it starts just becoming day to day life, like the hedonic adaptation that you get. Because I should probably explain this to you. Hedonic adaptation, you feel you feel kind of this rise in dopamine. You feel this like rise in pleasure for a little bit, but if that becomes your new baseline, then that's exactly the new baseline. And so you'll feel as happy as you kind of baseline are right now after a year if you won the lottery, right? You'd probably feel ecstatic for like a month, and then it would just be day to day life. And it's the same thing in the opposite direction too, which is great because I mean you could lose a leg, but 2 years from now, assuming everything else is basically the same, you're gonna feel exactly the same. It's just you're not gonna have a leg anymore. And that's like a great and a terrible thing about human nature is just hedonic adaptation is one hell of a drug. Um, and it's unfortunate because, I do feel awesome right now. It's just I kind of take it for granted now because it's just my day to day existence now. I remember a time though whenever my day to day existence was worse than this. But I thought it was fine because hedonic adaptation just dictated that, oh, okay, well this is just baseline, but in reality I was harming my body. And I think a lot of people kind of overlook that whenever they are on a poor diet is that they think that they feel great. And maybe I am a victim to this too, but I heavily doubt that after switching onto this and feeling amazing for those first few months and still feel great now. Whenever people are on like a standard American diet, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine," but in reality, they do have some knee pain. They have some hip and joint issues, but that's just their day to day life. But hedonic adaptation, that's just their baseline, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, this is whatever." But if they removed all the crap and they ate a ketogenic carnivore diet and they resolved all of their inflammation and they lost a ton of their body fat and their weight, they would feel absolutely amazing. But after a little while, that would just become their new baseline. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, like I feel good, but it's like, mm, I feel okay. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of a side tangent. But I guess that is something to note is like some people say that they feel great on carnivore, and that is true. I do feel great, but I just feel normal now. And I think this is how I should feel is normal. um, yeah, I don't yeah, like there's just like really nothing to complain about really. It's like everything is good. I don't have any joint issues. I don't have any hip pains or whatever. I'm not slow. I'm not anything like that. And that used to be the norm for me back in the day, and I thought that that was just how people lived their lives, but it's not. It's not how people live. It's not what normal should be, right? Normal should be a state of health and activity. It shouldn't be this like lethargy and brain fog and feeling sick all the time. Yeah, it's a little bit of a monologue. Hopefully I didn't lose you there. But yeah, after after I would say 6 months or so, I actually decided I would try and actually switch things up a little bit. I did more endurance training, and I got into some of the best shape of my life, honestly. And I've still like sort of maintained that. Obviously, I'm not in the same shape now because I don't do the same level of endurance training, but I got really into like track and field stuff for a little bit, and I was cranking my resting heart rate now because I've done that sort of training before, and because I've kind of changed up my meal timing and whatnot. I've got my resting heart rate down to high 30s, low 40s consistently every single night. And I'm pretty proud of that. Now, I am a smaller human being, so it kind of makes sense why it might be a little bit smaller, or a little bit, yeah, a little bit lower. However, my resting heart rate used to be a lot higher, so I'm pretty proud of that. That I can get into the low 40s and the high 30s on like a consistent basis, and it's just because I'm fit now. Like, and here's another thing. If I don't train for a little bit, it's fine because I just hold on to my gains actually really, really easily now. Whereas before, whenever I would do that, I would detrain super, super fast. It was crazy. Like, I would lose strength super quickly from the gym. My cardio would go to shit super quickly. That doesn't happen anymore. I took almost a week off from running just like a couple weeks ago, and my cardio barely changed. It got a little bit worse, but if I were to do that before, I would be like gasping and wheezing the next week if I took a whole week off from running. And yeah, it's just crazy how different it is whenever you're in just a better state of health. How your body kind of just like actually holds on to it because it's like, well, we, I don't know, it's just less stress, I guess, on the system, and so there's less resources being pulled to different areas. Let's think. What can I say? These past few months, I've been doing a cut. So I have been intentionally lowering my food intake, and I've been trying to drop some body fat just to get like diced for summer. You know what I mean? Gotta get gotta get shredded for the ladies, right? But it's the easiest thing I've ever done, to be honest. Now I haven't been perfect with it. There have been some times where I haven't been like super strict on terms of like how much food I consume. But whenever I did this sort of thing before, where I was like kind of tracking my calories a little bit more meticulously and trying to cut down, whenever I was doing that sort of thing, I was so much more hungry. And now I can basically go the whole day without eating and I'd feel fine. I was like, it's fortunate that I do like eating because if I didn't, I probably just wouldn't eat like anything at all. Because this diet, like, you just don't get hungry even though you're losing body fat, you are even though you can have days where you don't eat that much food. You just don't really get that hungry because your body just doesn't, you don't send the same hunger signals unless you're actually like hungry. And it's been a blessing because trying to lose body fat has been just like the easiest thing to do. Like, I just have, one or two meals sort of evenly spaced throughout the day, and then I'm done. I don't need to separately space out my meals and have, really filling big meals all the time. Like, I can have two meals that are like slightly higher in protein, a little bit less fat than normal, um, and be perfectly fine. It's crazy. Yeah, I've just been losing fat like honestly pretty easily, and I've been holding on to muscle. I'd say at least pretty decently. Because I mean, whenever you're on a carnivore diet, bro, you're just eating protein, so you're gonna hit your protein goal regardless. And yeah, the food noise is just gone because I'm not eating carbs, so I'm not like starving myself at all. It's it's a good life, and I guess that kind of brings us to today. Like, in this past 420 days, it's just been kind of the same thing. I haven't gotten sick of it. I haven't gotten, bored of it. Some of the mistakes I've made have been salt intake. Just watch that. Like, you can salt if you want, and I still will have some salt in my foods. I just don't go crazy with it anymore. I just don't think it's necessary. And if I do mess around with the sodium, then it tends to mess with my like electrolyte balance. I can start getting crampy and stuff. If I actually add in too much sodium, it's weird. Um, so I just kind of avoid that now. I just drink water really. Um, Can also mess with your satiety. Another one is dairy. I avoid cheese now. I still have some. I still have some dairy. Like I'll still eat butter. Um, I'll still have some cheese as a condiment every now and then. But the more I have it, the less I kind of want to. Like it's cool as kind of like a treat every now and then. But honestly, I'd rather just have like a steak. Like I'm kind of basic like that. I've been looking up some of these carnivore recipes where it's like, oh, you have this, like a carnivore pizza. That's a good example. I made this the other day. And like, yeah, it's good, but I don't know. It's just like I'd honestly just rather have hamburgers. I'd honestly just rather have literal chicken breast than a carnivore pizza. I don't know what it is. I just rather eat something else. And yeah, like those things aren't bad. And especially if you have like a level of meat aversion and you just need something different, those carnivore recipes can help. I I think I'm just a simplistic guy. My go-to breakfast is literally just um, eggs, and butter. That's about it. Anyways, that's what has happened over the last 420 days. A lot of benefits, a lot of changes, a lot of just feeling good and feeling better. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, like I just feel great. A lot of monologuing there. I'm sorry if I ranted on too long, but yeah, that's what happened these past 420 days. I feel great. My life hasn't gotten worse, and it's only gotten better from this diet, and so I recommend anyone to try it out. If you like what I'm saying, then go subscribe. If you want my help getting onto low carb/carnivore, then go check out links in the description. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll see what I can do to help you out. See ya.